You are about to enter the Peter Schiff Show.
The increase in government aid to education that is causing tuition prices to rise. That there is a causal relationship. They're not rising together by sheer chance, by accident. It's because the government makes money available to students in the form of direct aid or guaranteed loans that students have the money. And once the students have the money, then the universities are free to raise the prices because the students have the ability to pay. And then once the prices are raised, now the government sees higher prices, and they come back and they say, oh, now we need bigger grants and more guarantees, and then the universities have the green light to raise prices once again. And before the break, I was talking about the college tuitions and what would happen to them if the government were to simply back out of the market. If the government was not guaranteeing tuitions, guaranteeing loans, well, students couldn't borrow that much money because the banks wouldn't lend, because there's a high default rate in student loans. But the lenders don't care, because if there's a default, well, the government's there to pick up the tab. So just like with the housing market, you got a moral hazard. Students are able to borrow a lot of money even though they might not be able to pay it back because the government's guaranteeing the loan. Also, governments are giving students money directly, which they can then use to pay tuitions. If you took all that away, what would happen? Would it mean that nobody would go to college in this country because college tuitions would stay high and nobody would go, that all the classrooms would be empty? Well, of course not. What would happen is colleges would be in a situation where they finally had competitive free market pressures. They would be faced with a situation where they had empty classrooms and no students, and what would they do? Well, they would do what the airlines do when they have an empty plane and no passengers. They slash prices. They have a sale. Has there ever been a sale at a college tuition? Have they ever had a 20% off sale or a 30% off sale? No. Why should they? Because their customers keep getting money from the government to pay whatever tuition they want to charge. So we take away all these subsidies, and tuition prices will collapse. They'll have to. And universities will find ways to cut out the fat, to operate more efficiently. And given all of the labor-saving devices that exist today that didn't exist 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, college tuition should be lower now than it was then, adjusted for inflation. Not higher,